Hello everybody and welcome back to the second shelf and to another chatty video about my August challenge. If you follow my channel for a while, you know that I have one rule and one rule only when it comes to acquiring books, TBRs, things like that. I have to read more books than I bring in, or at least the same amount, but preferably more. So each month I tally the books that come in, the books that I read, and that works fine with me, and I almost always succeed at least in the end of the year, but not every month, and certainly not in July, because July is my birthday, and like every other reader, I want books for my birthday. So I acquire or receive a lot of books in July. And in order to balance that out, that I can't read the amount of books that I get in July, I have in August a month that I read 30 books in 30 days. And yes, I know August has 31 days, but we will come to that extra day in a minute. So in August, my challenge is basically to read a book a day, but not, sometimes I read, doesn't matter. The challenge is 30 books in 30 days. And I thought, I haven't made a video about this in quite a while. I think it's 2 years ago. So maybe it would be fun to have a chatty video about this challenge, to tell you a little bit about it, how I go about it, and how I normally don't read near as many books as that. So it's not that it is an easy challenge for me. And you can, of course, amend or change the challenge in, 15 books in 30 days or 10 books in 30 days. But for me, it's about double, a little more even on an average month than I normally read. So what are the rules? First of all, of course, I have to read 30 books. A book counts if it's published separately. So short story doesn't count. But if it's a very, very short book, 40 pages, maybe a graphic book for children or something, and it's published individually, then it counts. It has to be started and read in August. So I don't read 15 books in July, but just don't finish them so that I can all finish them in August. No, that obviously doesn't work. Then the challenge wouldn't make sense, because then I have 0 books in July. I don't quite, I'm not quite able to finish all the books that I'm reading in July, especially when it comes to buddy reads. So I have the rule is bent a little bit when it comes to buddy reads, but I'm not allowed to carry over more than 10%. So that's 3 books. This month, it's exactly 3 books. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2. If there is a 4th book, buddy read, that's fine, but it doesn't count for the challenge. So it really has to, I have to prop up my numbers. I want to prop up my numbers in August, so it doesn't make sense otherwise. So those are the rules. The book has to be individually published in order to count, and it has to be read, started and finished in August, with the exception of buddy reads, but not more than 3. The second point, what did I write down? Timing. Yes, I think if you are interested in doing such a challenge, not that you have to, I think it's fun, so that's why I do it. But I do it in August, of course, because July is the month where I bring in all those books, but also because August for me is a relatively quiet month work-wise. I'm not on vacation in August, but I do not do a lot of traveling, especially traveling where I don't have time to read. So I think it's important that you pick a month, or if you want to do 2 weeks or whatever, that are relatively easygoing. You can't plan everything beforehand. Of course, sometimes shit happens and then, but for me, August works really well. It's quiet work-wise. I don't travel normally. I have time to accommodate the reading, so I can really set aside. If you have, like 20 social engagements in the evenings in August, it probably doesn't work, because I need really free evenings in order to get my reading in, because most of my reading I do in the evening. So the timing is always important, and it just happens to work out for me just after the month that I bring all these books in. The third thing that I wrote down is preparation. For me, preparation is really important. It's not only that I mark in the calendar, August is 30 books in 30-day month, and then I just start. I mean, I'm not a pantser. I'm, a plotter and a planner. So I have 30 books laid out that I want to read. I have them in the house or on script or ebook or whatever. So I know that I have enough books that are not huge, because that is one of the things. Of course, we move into I think the next point is the tips and tricks. No, get started. The tips and tricks come later. But I need not to just jump into it the 1st of August, but in July and beforehand even, I plan so that I know there are books ready and waiting for me. And if you read a book a day or 30 books in 30 days, it's not that much about mood reading. I mean, I have a lot of books to pick from in those 30, and I don't have it's not in order that I have the first book, the second book. I try to incorporate, by the way, translated works by women, because August is also Women in Translation Month. But I need to know that the books are ready, and then I just don't think that much about whether or not I want to read that book right now, because it's also a short commitment, so to speak, which brings me to get started. For me, important is the first couple of days. If those go well, that is kind of a head start. So I always try to have books ready for the first. Today is what is today, the 9th or something, I think. Is it? Yeah, today is the 9th. So the first 5 days, I really have books that I can read one a day, so that I get a good start. I think that's important, that you're not frustrated right at the beginning and then you abandon the project. So that really helps me to get going. And the books that I pick in the beginning are short ones. That's one of the preparation things, but also belongs to the next item, tips and tricks, that over the course of a year between September and July, I mark books that I want to read that are short. And by short, I mean under 200 pages, preferably even under 140 pages. I don't pick them because they are short, but if I have books that I really want to read and I see the page count is 143 pages, I mark it as a shorty and I keep it for August, because I can only manage to read 30 books if quite a good portion of them, I would say more than half, are short books. So between 150 and 200 pages. And I always read a couple of those right in the beginning, because it gives me this idea that I can actually finish a book a day. So this year, one of the first books was a translated work, 151 pages, no, 153 pages, exposition by Nathalie Léger, translated from the French by Amanda de Marco. I'm not going to talk too much about the book, but I have been meaning to read this book for quite a while. And I think I bought it more than a year ago, and I put it on the pile to finish. It's a novel, by the way, to finish in a day, and that was possible. 150 pages I can read in one day if I have, enough reading time. Another one is this one, A Horse at Night on Writing by Amina Kane, and this one has 126 pages. That's another of my tips and tricks. I also pick books, nonfiction on writing, nonfiction memoirs about books promiscuously read, Reading as a Way of Life by Heather Cass White. First of all, it's short, 140 pages, and second of all, this type of book about reading or about writing, I can read fairly fast. I don't pick, the heavy nonfiction where I really read at half the speed that I normally read at, because it's about science or about some other topic. I have to Google stuff in between. I don't pick these types of books, but books on writing, reading, memoirs, those books are normally nonfiction books that I can read fairly quickly. Another one, what I also do is pick some poetry. For this one, I picked Akhmatova, Anna Akhmatova, not vintage Akhmatova, but Anna Akhmatova selected poems translated from the Russian by D.M. Thomas. Now, it's not that poetry collections tend to be short, at least if you have a selected poems. If you have the collected poems of Ursula Le Guin, which Adam gave me for my birthday, that's a chunker. That doesn't work. And I don't read poetry that fast. But if it's a slim volume like that, I probably don't read it in one day. But I know that I can read, a couple of poems, 10, 20 pages or something a day. And this collection has 127 pages. So that's always because, first of all, I want to get some poetry in. It's a translated work. It's short. And I can spread that out over 2 days maybe and read another short book at the same time. So that always helps me a lot. Another short book, by the way, that I picked for this month is Rebecca West, The Return of the Soldier. I have been meaning to read this one also for a very long time. It's just over 130 pages. It's on my 1001 Women that I want to read before I die list. So perfect pick. Another more tips and tricks is rereads for me. I think I will reread, that's at least the plan, The History of Bees by Maja Lunde, translated from, I think it was the Swedish, but I can't find the translator, which is really bad. Yeah, sorry, I will I will try to leave it in the description box, but I think she is a Swedish author. I'm just blanking completely on her nationality. No, originally published in Norwegian, so she is a Norwegian author, but it still doesn't tell me the translator. Well, not good for you, Simon and Schuster. Anyway, rereads. This is a much bigger book. It's 330 pages, but it's quite a big font, so not that. But I can read rereads faster than when I read the book for the first time, especially novels, because I know what is happening, and I'm not saying I'm skipping stuff, but it just works for me. If I reread a book, I read it faster than I normally read it. So I pick a couple of books that I've been meaning to reread, and not, you know, War and Peace or something. It has to be a reasonable, in a reasonable length. And the other trick is, of course, to always have at least 2 or 3 audiobooks going. I will carry those through the whole month, so they can be bigger, but I can read audiobooks while I'm doing other things. So that is kind of additional reading time. And I always pick 2 or 3. I mostly read nonfiction on audio. Fiction just doesn't work for me that well. So I pick 2 or 3 audiobooks that will have an average length of between maybe 10, 12 hours. And if I have an hour additional reading time with an audiobook, that means it takes about 10 days to read a book like that. So I can get 2 or 3 audiobooks in, which gives me additional books that I will finish. Again, it's not a chore. I do it because I think it's fun. That's the most important thing. I really like doing it. I like this 1 month. That is, and for me, it's a month period, but it can be a week, it can be 2 weeks, whatever you want. But this 1 month that I feel is really dedicated to books more than regular reading. I always read, and my life is always dedicated to books, but you know what I mean. If you have this whole month that you're really focusing on finishing 30 books, that, you know, I like it. So it should be fun. And I haven't talked about 30 in 30 because I told you in the beginning, August has 31 days. That is my cheat day. So if I haven't finished 30 books in 30 days, it's about finishing 30 books in August. So there is this one additional day, meaning most of the years that I did this challenge, and I think it's the 4th or 5th year that I'm doing the challenge, I have maybe 1 or 2 books that I've just not finished, maybe a couple of, 50 pages left, and I finish them on the 31st. So and it sounds better 30 in 30 than 30 in 31. I also, like I said, it should be fun. I tried it out once and I succeeded. That also helps if you know you can do it. But for me, the most important thing why it works is because I'm having fun. I really like it. It's not like cleaning your kitchen cupboards kind of chore. Not at all. So anyway, if you want to try this challenge, I'm really curious to hear, but keep your fingers crossed for me. So far, I'm doing well. I have read 9 books in the first 9 days, or 8 books in 8 days or something. So it's going well, but there's still a big chunk of the month to come. So I hope you keep your fingers crossed for me. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I'm looking forward to your comments, and I'll speak to you all soon in the next one.